Well, we were looking, our son was getting ready to go into kindergarten, and my wife really wanted him to go to a Christian school, and I had never been to a Christian school. I didn't understand it. I teach in a public school, and so I thought, you know, well, public schools are fine. There's nothing wrong with going to a public school. And so Amy took our son Leland to the public school and then over here to Emmanuel and showed him both and asked him which one he'd prefer, and he really wanted to come to Emmanuel. And I think a big thing was because he knew God was involved with the school, and he could talk about God, and he'd have Christian friends here at the school. And so that really excited us, but we knew we weren't going to be able to afford it. I'm a teacher. She's an at-home mom. There was no way we were going to be able to afford this. So at the time, she talked to her grandparents and just said she was thinking about sending our son to Emmanuel. And her grandparents offered to pay for half of the tuition if we pay the other half. And that was something we could manage. Well, as time went by, we had another child, and so it got a little bit more expensive. And so I started delivering newspapers at night, getting up at 3 in the morning, going delivering newspapers, then getting home and going to my teaching job so that I could afford to send our son to Emmanuel. And through all that, Amy's cleaned houses, she's babysat, she's done lots of different things just so that we would be able to give him the education, give both of our children the education that we think they deserve through the Christian schools. So our son Leland is now in college, and he really feels that Emmanuel Christian Schools has offered him the education that it takes to succeed at the University of Toledo. He's getting all A's, he's working really hard, he studies, he helps encourage other kids to study, he brings, you know, guys over to the house so they can do their exams and work together on things.
And on the spiritual side of it too, we have seen that he's admitted to us that he has some difficulties with kids, you know, pressuring him to go out partying and drinking, and he's like, you know, that's not what my goal is. I don't want to do that. I want to do well in school. And it's not, you know, my personality too. He's even come to the point where he's started to invite people to church that are unsaved, and trying to get them involved and you know, the best that he can. So.
Yeah, and he recently had an interview, and the guy asked him, "What's the weirdest thing about you?" And he said, probably that I'm not like every other college kid going out partying and drinking. I really care about my grades. I'm interested in getting the best out of my education to further me on in my life. So we have a daughter who's a junior here at Emmanuel also, and she's doing extremely well in her schooling. She truly enjoys doing well in school, succeeding in school. She has some great role models here as far as teachers. She also has some other females in the school, other students that she really enjoys being around because they challenge her to be a better person, to be a better Christian.
Which in today's society, it's hard for girls because there's so much pressure for them to be perfect and to, you know, take pictures on, you know, Facebook or Instagram or any of that stuff. And it's all about beauty and their looks and vain. But really here she realizes that that's not the priority in her life. You know, it's about God and pleasing Him and not others. And just being able to be, you know, friends with the other girls and not be catty with one another. So it's been a benefit.
And she's been also able to varsity letter in 3 sports here at Emmanuel, which is nice, which would have been very difficult at the other school. She even plays on the boys soccer team and gets quite a bit of playing time. So I would encourage anybody that's considering a Christian education for their children to consider Emmanuel Christian Schools and make the sacrifices it's going to take to be able to afford it like we have, working the extra jobs and cutting back. I can tell you our children have just absolutely loved the school, from the chapels to the loving teachers that are Christians, to the families that are here, just knowing that they're all Christians, they have the same background. And I would just definitely encourage you to consider what you could do to sacrifice to give your children this, this wonderful gift of Christian education.